Hey, what's up, Unbroken Nation? So, if you are in this place where it would be of benefit to step into a modality like this, how do you even notice it? How do you even put yourself in a position of being curious enough to step into the idea that this could be beneficial?
Well, I think the best thing to do is to sometimes w- see if you recognize the feeling of being driven by something other than the thoughts that you are aware of. I remember always feeling in my life like I was being pushed by something out of my control. There was just this frantic sense of running from life, and I don't know how to describe it other than I was thrashing around. I would harm myself. I would be destructive in relationships. I would binge eat. I would do these things that it felt like some kind of autopilot that I didn't have control over was taking a hold of my body. And what I know now is it was an autopilot. It was my nervous system. And it was my fight and flight response, or it was my freeze, my shutdown response. And those are ancient survival mechanisms that are hardwired into our body, but we don't understand that. Yes, I want to make different decisions, I want to react differently, but at a very baseline level we can't until we do the work of healing our nervous system, as simple as maybe practicing breath work or finding a few drills that work for you, or just taking some time trying to read the internal signals that your body is giving you. Even just those little small steps will help your nervous system start to move more into a parasympathetic state, a calm and respond state, and then you can take different actions. But if you have that feeling that you are being driven by something beyond your control, it is likely your nervous system stuck in a state that no longer is serving you.
Yeah, exactly. Fight or flight is so real and so informative of where we are in our life. And it's what's really fascinating is even now, after doing all this work for over a decade and reading all the books and going to all the seminars and doing all the things, it's still there, right? And it will still, for most of us, I would assume, always be there. But you build these tools, you build these systems to be able to, I don't want to say cope, but navigate through it, right? Because there are days, and yesterday's a perfect example. I remember I literally said aloud, like, I don't feel present in my body, right? And so that led me to this moment where I was like, oh, okay, what I need to do is I need to go to my journal. I need to meditate. I need to get back into my body because one, we live in a very toxic and stressful time. So you parlay these two things on top of COVID, on top of elections, on top of all of these things, and it's no wonder we are all out of sorts at this moment, right? and
So
and I
much.
think about this journey in this place of being willing to step into healing, right? Often, and look, I recognize this isn't always the case scenario, but it is way more comfortable to be within the context of the chaos of what I call the vortex, that place where you're not showing up, where you're hurting yourself, where you're binging, where my scenario, being overweight and smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day, is way easier than pushing yourself into being better. So how do you do that, right? You come from this place of understanding the abuse has laid down the tracks that put you in this position of depression and self-harm and all these other things. How do you push yourself into healing? Because I do think that there is a little bit of centrifugal force that is necessary to get you there.
Mhm. Yes, so couple things. I've listened to your podcast, and I know you're a big believer in the morning routine, and I am the same. I feel like it is something that I have to commit to so that my life doesn't kill me, kind of like you said, like the
Yeah.
stakes are high, right? So I need to do that, and then I make that morning routine something that focuses not just on my cognitive thoughts, but something that focuses on bringing me back to my body. And so it includes a little bit of healing movement. It includes what I call a neurosomatic meditation, which basically just means taking at least 1 minute to sit still and think about, what do I feel in the bottom of my belly? What do I feel in the center of my chest? What do I feel in my throat? Can I feel the sensations on my hands? Can I feel the bottom of my foot? Can I feel like the space that my foot takes up in space? And just spending a minute coming into my body so that I'm starting to develop a skill of interoception, which is just your brain's ability to read the signals that your body is sending you. And that those signals are given to you by one of your most important nerves, which is your vagus nerve, which is a really important nerve in self-regulation and getting you out of a high reactive emotional state. It sets all of the autonomic functions of your body, like your heart rate, your breathing, your digestion. And so just taking a minute to try to feel as many sensations as you can on the inside of your body is actually training for your vagus nerve. You're actually making that nerve stronger and upregulating it. And then that is going to, over time, have huge benefits because that nerve is so important in controlling our automatic responses. So for me, I think a minimum effective dose is really important. Like, how much will I set up in my morning routine that I will actually do? And so finding that sweet spot of the right amount of work in the morning to not be so overwhelming that it only lasts for a week or two, but something that's really sustainable, and then gradually building on that over time. You know, maybe I start with 1 minute and then I take it to 2 minutes, and then 3 months later, I take it to 5 minutes, so that I'm starting to see some of the benefits from the work as well as I'm gradually increasing that amount of time of training my nervous system, but it keeps me wanting to do it.
Yeah. And I think that is a really important key point, because so often we are measuring ourselves against, do the yoga, do the meditation, do the journaling, do the visualization, do the no coffee, only the tea, and then don't do anything, and then blah blah blah. And you're like, okay, hold the fuck up. Let me just do what I need to do to take care of myself in this moment. But
Yeah.
there's lead up to that, right? So what's the lead up for you, Elizabeth? Because I think that it's really easy to, when you've been in it for a while, kind of go, yes, this is my routine, this is what I do, I have an understanding of it. But in the infancy, for lack of a better term, of your healing journey and getting to this place that you are now, what was that like? Because my reflection on it was being very difficult and tedious at times, and really needing to double down on the idea that I knew there was a light at the end of this tunnel of some sorts.
Yeah, I think that is a really great question. And some of the things that I did to help get me here are, one, I invested in myself and I got some help with other coaches or therapists, or joining a group that is working on healing together. I think that it's important to get help and support where you need it until you can make these things more baked in, because I don't think I could have done it alone. I don't think I could have done it just relying on myself. Community is really important to me. And so that was one of the ways that I began to cultivate this routine, was doing it with others. And then I also think that it's really important to assess and reassess everything that you do, because everybody's nervous system is very different and everybody responds differently to different things, and we have different trauma in our past. So as I was embarking on this journey and trying to see what would work for me, I worked with a bunch of different people. I took a bunch of different applied neuro courses and applied different things to myself, and then I always tested, do I feel better or do I feel worse after doing this? And I kept notes about it, and I started to really see, what are my most high payoff activities? Is it these certain drills? Is it a respiration activity? Is it taking a bath? Is it going for a walk? Like, what really helps me? Because sometimes sitting in meditation with your eyes closed when you're in a state of hypervigilance just pushes you into more panic. Not everybody responds the same to everything. And so if you feel all of this internal resistance to doing something, maybe listen to that. And maybe that's not the thing that you're supposed to do. Maybe your body is telling you it wants something else entirely. And so beginning to trust my body a little bit and trust my instincts, and ask it, what do you need, body? Like, sometimes I will really sit there and put my hand on my chest and close my eyes and ask my body, how do you want me to be with you right now? And look for the answers there, because nobody knows better than you do.